Hi there. This is our week 4 or week 5 help video. I'm going to post 2 videos this week because I do want to share one that I've made in previous semesters about verb conjugations. But also, as I was entering grades on Monday, I noticed that the week 4 quiz was overall the grades on that were significantly lower than what I would normally see. And so I wanted to just kind of walk everybody through that quiz and give you a chance to resubmit it. So if you've been in my Spanish lab and happened to look at this quiz, you may have noticed that it is going to allow you another attempt. And like you see up here on mine, it does show that it's past due, but go ahead and submit it. And then when I grade the week 5 materials next Monday, I will accept those late submissions for the week 4 quiz. So you're not required to take it. That's why I'm not changing the due date and making it due again this weekend, because you aren't required to retake it. But if you would like to retake it and improve your grade, and I'm guessing most of the class is probably going to want to do that, you have that option. So, and it's only 5 points out of the 1,000 points in the class. So I'm not walking you through it because I feel like it's going to have a negative impact overall on your grade. But because as you know, Spanish is going to build on itself and you're going to be building on these concepts. And so I want to make sure that we take the time to go back through and review this and make sure that you really feel confident about the material in this quiz. You'll see some of these same question sets possibly come back up in the chapter 2 test and even in the final exam for the class. So again, I just want to make sure that everybody has a chance to really feel like they fully understand these concepts and not feel like you have some holes as we move forward. So what I'm going to do is walk through the quiz. These questions all come from pools of questions. So what you do when you retake the quiz, you won't necessarily see the exact same questions, but I'm going to talk through the concepts of what the answers are and why, so that hopefully you feel more prepared even for different questions that are the same basic idea. Okay. So here, this first section threw a lot of people off, and it's about the nationalities. So if you look in the textbook, remember that this is an open book quiz. So you can have your book open and double check the spelling and everything. There will only be 2 tests in the semester that are not open book. So keep that in mind and use your book when you need to make sure that you're spelling things correctly and all of that. So again, this is the nationalities. Look at the questions. Some of them, all of these happen to be asking for the nationality, but there are some where it asks for the country. It gives you the nationality and you need to fill in the country name. And be careful with things like Peru. In Spanish, we don't ever put an accent mark on it, but in English, we don't put an accent mark in it. But in Spanish, it has an accent mark, and that is required for that country to be correct if you were needing to type the country name. But here, okay, telling us Anita y Paco son de Peru. Ellos son, what are they? What nationality are they? Son peruanos. Peruanos. So peruano is the way the nationality will show up in your book, but because we're talking about 2 people, we need to make it agree, like any adjective, agree in number and gender with the noun that's being described. So ellos son peruanos. Manuel es de Panamá. Él es de, if we look in the book, the nationality is panameño. Él es panameño. Pepe es de Venezuela. Él es venezolano. Okay, if any of these happen to be women's names, here it defaulted to masculine because there's at least 1 male in the group. But if either of these have been a woman's name, there's at least 1 question where it has a woman's name. So it would need to be the feminine form of this instead of the masculine form. So watch for that in section 1. Then the second section, this was another one that threw a lot of people off. So it gives you the subject of the sentence, it gives you the verb, and then it gives you the complement, the end of the sentence. But like it says here, find out by using the words provided to create a logical sentence. You need to create a complete and logical sentence, paying attention to agreement in gender and number, the conjugation of the verb, and like it says here, include indefinite and definite articles when needed in your answers. So let's look at what that might look like. So we wouldn't just say universidad. We would always say la universidad. La universidad. And then we have the verb ser, but we need to conjugate that verb for universidad. It's third person singular, so the conjugation is es. And then since universidad is feminine, we're going to say nueva y cara. And I've had students ask, how do we know that universidad is feminine? Well, when you're memorizing the vocabulary, you'll notice that the vocabulary, any nouns in your vocabulary list will always have el or la in front of them, so that as you're learning the noun, you are memorizing the gender of that noun as well. So la universidad es nueva y cara. Here we have Mario y Julia. We don't need to add any article there because it's not needed. We're going to conjugate ser for that third person plural subject, so it would be son. Then since we're describing two different people, one of them is a male, we're going to use the plural masculine form of these adjectives, rubios y altos. Okay, so you pay attention to anything that's needed that needs to be added. Articles, the verb needs to be conjugated, and the and the sorry. Okay, and the adjectives need to be adjusted to match the number and gender of the noun that they're describing. All right, then this next part is time. So son las 8:00 it should accept media or 30, either way. Son las 8:30, make sure you're spelling it correctly, de la noche. Okay, son las 5:00, we could either say 15 or cuarto, make sure you're spelling cuarto correctly, de la mañana. Make sure you include the ñ on mañana. Son las 10 menos, again we could do cuarto or 15, de la noche. Son las 2 en, and a lot of people want to put en la tarde, but we say de la tarde. So en is asking for a different phrase. It's 2 o'clock on the dot, 2 o'clock straight up. We're going to say son las 2 en punto. Son las 8. So we need to figure out what word is going to give us the relation between 8 and 5 in this time. It's going to be son las 8 menos 5 de la mañana. Okay, and here it's midnight, es la medianoche. Okay, you could say son las 12, it is 12, but then this would have had to change. So since this says es la, we have to use medianoche. It's the only one that works there. Okay, here we need to write it in a complete sentence. So you can't just say 4:30 or 4:30. We have to say son las 4:30. We don't know time of day, so, or if it's morning or evening, so we'll leave that. Here is la una. Remember that when it's 1 o'clock, we're going to, instead of using son las, we're going to say es la, because it's just 1 hour. Okay. Here we are going to, there's different ways that we can form a sentence in Spanish. We need to choose which one we're going to use. So you can either say la universidad es grande, sí, o no, o verdad, using a tag question, or we can invert the subject and verb. I'm going to do it one each way. So I'm going to say la universidad es grande, no. Or you could say C, that would be acceptable too. And if you ever have a quiz where you have something like you included the comma and they weren't looking for the comma, or something where you suspect that it may be just a difference in punctuation or something, shoot me an email if you feel like you didn't get credit for something that you should have. And I'm happy to make adjustments to grades if it's reasonable. Okay. Here we're going to invert the subject and the verb. Our subject is es, so we're going to put that before the verb, or the subject. Es la clase pequeña. Okay, so, or we could say la clase es pequeña, ¿sí? And use the tag question there. Okay, sorry, this is going long, but ¿qué or cuál? With this expression, we know that when we're asking about time, we're always going to use ¿qué? ¿Qué hora es? Okay, here we're asking for selection, and the word right after it is not a noun. If you remember that rule from the textbook, the word right after it can't be a noun. But otherwise, if there's a selection involved, we're going to use cuál. So, ¿cuál de los libros te gusta? Okay. And then the final section, we have a word bank. Sorry, you can't see the whole word bank with the size of my video screen, but here our first question is asking about people going somewhere, okay, to the German class. So the reasonable interrogative word there is a dónde, to where. Okay, to where are you going? If you're asking where something is, dónde would work, but since we're asking about people going to a place, vamos a la clase, we're going to use a dónde. Okay, trabajas, and the response is a time, so the reasonable question would be cuándo. If one of the options were a qué hora, you could use that too, at what time, but it's not one of the options in the word bank, so we're going to use cuándo. And then we're asking something about somebody studying Spanish. Their response is, I like it a lot. So the most reasonable question word there would have been ¿cómo? Or I'm sorry, not ¿cómo? Would have been ¿por qué? ¿Por qué estudias español? Me gusta mucho. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful. If you have any particular questions about any of these sections, shoot me an email. I hope that helps clear up some of the confusion on this quiz, and I hope that most of you get a chance to redo it and improve your grade and feel a little more confident going into the Chapter 2 test. All right, have a good week. I will see you all online.